Slovakia has said that it will help with Europe's migrant crisis, but it will only take in Christians. Following European member states agreeing to take in over 32,000 migrants to ease the pressure from Greece and Italy, countries are beginning to step forward to grant asylum to the many that are fleeing conflict from largely Muslim countries, including Syria, Afghanistan and Africa. With Europe in a position to expect millions of migrants if the situation doesn't ease, Slovakia has said they will accept some, but they only wish to take in those who intend to stay for the long term. And as a Christian country, this wouldn't likely be Muslims. Slovakian Interior Ministry spokesman Ivan Netik, he did explain that there aren't mosques in Slovakia. Slovakia is a Christian country. They don't currently have a Muslim population. And while they do want to help people, they believe that people coming in from these Muslim countries will find it incredibly hard to integrate and will just use it as a pathway to go on to other countries. And they only want to allow people in who will stay for the long term. Here's a quote from the Interior Ministry spokesman. He said, "You can't force somebody to live somewhere. Most of them will leave in a few days to Germany, Great Britain or Scandinavian countries. It's not a solution. It's not help." It's interesting that Slovakia, the word Slav, it's a Slav nation. It comes from the word slave. So once upon a time, they were the slaves. Now they're having this big stance against these refugees coming in and treating them this way. I will say they're not all bad, though. They are trying to help. They have been helping transfer migrants to other countries, bringing in Syrian mothers and children, housing them, helping them with healthcare, schooling, and then transferring them often onto America as one of the countries. But I guess they don't feel that it is appropriate to be a long-term solution. Here's another quote from Ivan Netik. He said, "Slovakia, as a Christian country, can really help Christians from Syria to find a new home in Slovakia, but they don't feel that they can help Muslims."
Very controversial statements. I think their approach to helping the migrants is questionable, because when you help, you help. You open, but I do understand that, in this current state of the world and this divide that exists in between the Muslim world and the Christian world or the Western world, it will be easy for a country like Slovakia to say, why will we get ourselves into this process of adaptation of a Muslim culture into a culture that is Christian and has never been exposed or challenged to accept a different culture. So it is not surprising. Now, we're going to see that the makeup of Europe is going to be challenged by this influx of migrants. And I think it's something that we increasingly going to be seeing countries taking very unorthodox stance to this migration, because some of them will be very jealous and very protective of their makeup, and they don't want these new cultures coming in. But what's happening in the world is that because of conflicts and because of climate change, there's migrations, and there's going to be mass migrations more often than we've seen before.
Yeah, on the one hand, it does sound like a pretty lame excuse. We don't have mosques. Muslim people won't want to stay here. But on the other hand, you can kind of understand when we're talking about millions of migrants trying to come into Europe, it will completely change the makeup of European countries. It will completely change the constitution. And these countries are trying to preserve their culture and what they're known for. So it's a very difficult situation. It's obviously a good thing that Europe has agreed so far to take in 32,000. Let's have a little look at how some other countries are stepping up and stepping forward to help. Germany expects up to 800,000 asylum seekers by the end of the year. 218,000 have already been registered. France and Great Britain met yesterday to discuss the problems in the Channel Tunnel area. They met in Calais. Illegal crossings through the Channel Tunnel border are causing tremendous problems. There are migrants dying during the Channel Tunnel crossing. Around 320,000 have tried to cross the external borders since the start of the year. Macedonia, huge problems there. They've declared a state of emergency after more than 41,000 migrants arrived in the last 2 months. The army has stepped in to deal with things just this morning. Tear gases, tear bombs have been released on the migrants because they don't know how to deal with this influx of people. And around 1,500 migrants, mostly Syrians, have applied for asylum in the last 24 hours alone. So what is the solution there? Is there a possible solution? If they let in absolutely everyone, we're talking millions of African and Middle Eastern migrants coming into Europe, over time. How is Europe supposed to deal with this? A country like Slovakia, who has stepped up to help but saying we only want Christians, can you blame them? Do you think it's a lame excuse? What on earth can they do about this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and please keep watching TLN News for more.